Hello and welcome into this episode of the May the Smoke Be With You podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Always don't take for granted the folks that tune in each and every episode and do appreciate that. You know, when somebody brings a product to the marketplace, the experts say that you're supposed to, answer one big question, and that is, are you providing an answer to a pain point for customers? Is what you're going to make, is the widget you're going to make going to provide help to a customer? And our guest today was a frustrated customer of other companies. And he was super frustrated and he decided, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And he created what is, I think, arguably the best outdoor table on the market today. And we have the owner of Pecos Tables, Mr. Rick Scheen, joining us today to kind of hear his story, hear the story of Pecos, and hear what's going on with them now and maybe what the future holds as well. Rick, welcome in to the May the Smoke Be With You podcast.
Thank you, Joe. It's good to be here with you, buddy.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you taking the time. You know, I would love to kind of start at the beginning. You know, I kind of referenced a little bit in that intro, but where did the idea of creating the best outdoor table come from for you?
Oh, it came from probably most of the things in my life just kind of popped up out of the ground almost. It wasn't something I I went to school and took engineering classes and dedicated my life to being a product designer, outdoor product company CEO, founder. Um, it was a need that I had once upon a time, 5 years ago. That it just it caught me at a bad angle, if that makes sense. It was just one of those days that I think I needed to be 40 something years old and rolling around this earth for that many years, and somebody that in general likes to have good tools, good uh, good's probably an understatement. I like to want to have the best tools, the best gear, and whatever I was going to say trying, and I don't like the word trying. Whatever I'm trying, I said it, accomplish. Whatever I'm trying to do, whatever I'm doing, I want to have the best tools um, that I could get at my disposal. And so it was just one of those days. I was trying. That's what's sticking in my head every time I say it. I was uh, committed to frying fish for a Young Life event down here in Austin, Texas. And I grew up in Louisiana, like mad redneck, fishing, hunting, you name it, cleaning fish, eating fish. We probably ate whatever we caught or killed when I was growing up 3 or 4 days a week. So I grew up cleaning fish, cleaning deer, I mean, what? Squirrels, you name it, right? Dogs, ducks. Fast forward to 40 something years old, I probably hadn't cleaned fish that often over the last few years, right?
Right.
I Most of the fishing we do, whether it's me personally, is a lot of bass fishing, but whether it's trout, bass, I do some fly fishing. It's catch and release, and so the idea of cleaning fish is not something I've done as much. Go to
Mhm.
the coast. We're usually cleaning fish either there on the boat or the dock or a fish cleaning station or something
Yep, they've
like
got
along those lines.
stations up there for you. You don't
Yeah,
have to worry about it. Yeah.
so it's just all of a sudden 5, 6, 7 years. I hadn't really had clean fish. And it's like this day, I'm like, man, I got to clean these fish. I've got to fry fish. I've got, 30 kids coming to this deal. Went and caught these fish, came back to my house. I do have an electric knife, grabbed my extension cord, opened my garage, pulled out my Yeti with these fish in it. And it hit me like, where in the heck am I going to do this?
Yeah.
It was just kind of this like deer in the headlights. I looked around the garage, and you know what you have for the most part in the garage, and I knew quickly that I didn't have anything. Right? I'm like, I don't have anything. Um, and I thought, thought about tailgate at the time. I believe I was driving like a Suburban. I'm like, well, I don't have a tailgate. I don't have a table. I thought about my outdoor kitchen. I'm like, okay, that won't work. My wife will kill me. long story short, I ended up taking the ice chest, my Yeti. I dumped the fish out in my driveway, put the Yeti there, and wrapped my legs around the Yeti with an extension cord and electric knife, and I cleaned those little small Guadalupe bass there in my driveway. Got it done, but I thought, and that was my back hurt. I had fish juice all on my butt, and I smelled and I was sweaty and pissed off,
Yeah.
and I'm driving to this fish fry and I'm kind of mad. I just I mean, it's like I did that sucked, right? And it's like that was ridiculous that I didn't have somewhere to get that done. And then my mind was like, hey, I don't own anything that if I needed to do that again. And then I started thinking about when I'm cleaning deer at somebody else's ranch or that probably the ranch I had at the time, trying to find a table or we're backing the truck up using the tailgate, and I could just being that my mind goes probably 1,000 times faster than most people, it just started going through my mind all of these situations, and it's kind of weird to talk about, and it makes me seem like I'm even a little crazier than maybe I actually am. That it was just like this. Oh my gosh, man! Like it 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 struck me that the world doesn't have a place to get things done, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I bet there's something online. If I couldn't think of anything I'd ever seen, but I thought, well, I'll Google this, and surely there'll be something that pops up that'll work, And I Google it, and I'm like, man, I couldn't find anything other than Rubbermaid tables. I think maybe REI makes some little camping thing that's like
Right.
it rolls out and has these little small legs on it. It's kind of like a TV tray, and like you could visually see that. Well, that won't work. That won't work. And it was like, wow, man, there's really not anything out there, that will work the way I would want it to work. And I'm not in the consumer product business. I'm in the landscape. I'm a landscape architect by education and
Okay.
construction business. And so, it wasn't like I'm in some consumer product guy, but it just, it stuck in my head. And it just so happens we were doing some work with some of the Yeti guys here in town, some landscape work. And I thought, man, that that lid of that Yeti was a pretty good working surface, right?
Hmm.
Like the size of it, level. I mean, it was HTP, plastic. It was easy to clean. Like that wasn't a bad working surface. So like, if I could just take this Yeti, put it up in the air about this tall, or take this lid, and it wouldn't be a bad table, right? And so that night, next day, I sketched something up uh, that it basically looked like a Yeti 65, 75 lid, right, with four legs coming out of the bottom of it. Um, and you know, 3 years later, and $18,000 and hours and time, and I just kept messing with it and kept messing with it, kept drawing and kept engineers, and the next thing you know, it just kind of grew and snowballed into something I felt like I couldn't turn around on. Like I'm like, I've got so much time and money in this. And looking back, it really wasn't that much time and money compared to what
Yeah.
I put in it after I made that decision to go all in. But and so
So when you're searching
here I
these,
sit.
when you had that um, that you called you were coming at it from an angle, which to me I think was your code word for I was mad. Like I was that moment, that intersection of when you had that moment on the lid and you're mad and you're sweaty. It was just like an angle, and then so you're searching Google and Amazon and looking for what were the things you were looking for? You're looking for a stable surface. You're
Yeah,
looking for something that was probably adjustable. You're easy to clean. Like what were
solid. I mean, the word I keep going to is
yeah,
just solid. Something
and you
that
would think that there would be a table out there like that.
yeah. I mean, at the time, I thought I figured there'd be a lot. I did.
Yeah,
It wasn't like I
one
want
of
to
my
look and not find one so I can go create a company. That
yeah,
wasn't even anywhere in my mind. It was like surely I can find something that'll be somewhere between good and great, or good enough, or I thought you know
yeah,
I may now could
so
I
good.
figure it out online? Could I have to buy one and get it or whatever? But I thought I'd find something, you know,
Yeah,
and it being that it's a table, for gosh sakes. I mean, for whatever reason, the whole thing just blew me up because the idea that there wasn't anything out there, and that all these humans on this earth are trying and or wanting to get things done. Like this is a table. I'm sure you have a table. Like where do you go when you don't have a table? What office
Yeah.
do you go in? What kitchen do you go in? What shop? Whatever? Right? There you have to have a table to in general to work on a workbench, work table, something. Well, and so the idea that there wasn't a table that the people in this world could go out and get things done on, it just upset me. I don't know how to explain it. It just was like, that's stupid. I mean, that just, whatever reason, it just felt like one of this, I had been wrong. The world had been wronged by this. But then part of my brain's like, well, golly, it's such a need. Like, I mean, like
Yeah.
it seemed like such a giant need to me. Yeah, at the time, I'm like, maybe there is a little bit of an opportunity here. Um, I like winning, right?
Yep.
And the easiest way to win is if you're not competing against anybody. I mean, that's usually a good way to win. Right? It can't be the worst way, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I mean, if I were to come up with a table and this thing worked out, then that there's not really anybody I'm competing against, it might make it a little easier to make this successful, right?
So you're a landscape architect by trade. I'm assuming that's what you were doing. You
Yep,
were
yep.
you had a crew, probably a company, I assume,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, still do have it's a design build, landscape architectural design build management company here in Austin.
so what was that process? You went from you got mad, you sketched out what this table looks like, and then you obviously didn't go into production the
Oh
next
my
day,
gosh, no.
but and I assume there was probably a conversation with maybe a wife or something along the lines that might have thought you were crazy
I mean, gosh, she thought that,
for years.
for years. It did take her
But
long
would you
to
call
know
yourself
that
a
was a
serial
fact.
entrepreneur? Would you say that you were always looking for that next thing, that next little idea? Were you always that guy? No. So
No,
this was
I mean, I'm always, I mean, I'm very, very outside of the box on the spectrum creative and always thinking out how to get things done, whether it's a construction project, I'm designing something, or down at the ranch trying to figure out how to put a rifle somewhere on a UTV, ATV. You're trying to
yeah,
I'm that my buddies. I'm from Louisiana. They call me MacGyver, which is a spin on MacGyver, right? Trying to figure out how to get things done, right? But
yeah,
not sitting around trying to come up with these product ideas or these inventions. It's never been something like I want to be that guy that comes up with some invention. Never crossed my mind probably to ever do anything like that until this. Um, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, man, that'd be pretty cool to have a product company, like
yeah,
it's an outdoor product. Probably could go fishing, hunting a little bit more than I'm doing now and write some of it off. And I mean, it's like, it sounded like, oh, it'd be pretty cool.
yeah,
Not like I was like, wow, I mean, I gotta do that. But it's like, all right, it just wouldn't be the end of the world if I came up with a pretty cool product. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, ignorance is bliss, right? I
hmm
didn't know how absolutely difficult it would be to do what we're now doing or in the process of doing. Even though I built a company, and probably forgot how hard it was and how much blood, sweat, and tears it took to build that company.
right,
I think somewhere there's some cockiness, arrogance, like, all right, I built this company and it's doing awesome. So building another company and it won't be near as hard. It'll be like, get a couple of guys that know something about this and get a product designer and throw a little bit of money at it. Boom, there it is. Awesome
yeah,
company making tons of money. I mean, I guess I kind of thought that, or I don't know what I was thinking. But little did I know, it's like every good company. It's a pile of hard work, sweat, tears, blood, money, and there's no way around it. Right? I don't know how many books that I've read, but I mean, in general, there's one way the other side, and it's right straight down through the middle of it. I mean, going around it, under it, over it, shortcuts. You can build something, but I'm talking about building something that's sustainable, enduring, long lasting, solid. there's one way to do it, and it's just blood, sweat, and tears and hard work, and put your head down until
Yeah.
it's
So
done, and lift your head up, whether it's 2 years or 20 years later, and be like, I kind of crushed that.
I did that. Right. So
Yeah.
you make the sketch, you get alignment with the family. Wife who thinks you're crazy just goes, okay, this is another.
Honestly, I mean, I didn't even run any of this. She knows I'm always got some crap going on, and so I didn't really run it by her. I mean, I played around with it for a year or two, just kind of like a little side thing,
Yeah.
and took a sketch to one of the Cedar brothers, the Yeti guys, and said, "Hey, man, what do you think about this?" And he actually liked it, um, but I think they were in a transition, or he knew how hard it is to introduce a whole nother product line.
Yeah.
He's like, "Man, that's a good idea, but probably not something we could work with or work on right now." And I thought he was going to be like, "Man, that's a great idea. We're going to go do it. Here's $1 million, and this will be, this huge success, and we'll be selling more of these than the Yeti ice chest in a couple months."
Yeah.
And
Didn't
so
work
when
out.
he was like, "Yeah, I think there's some part of it," when he's like, "Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, buddy, but yeah, I don't. It's not something I don't think we can work on." Part of me was like, "Man, what does he know?"
Yeah. This,
I'll show him. Yeah, I showed him. But so yeah,
were
so
there
some
other
meetings
people?
like that, some meetings with a friend of mine that has a product, outdoor, not an outdoor product. It's called Bruce Bolt. They're these awesome batting gloves that are kind of catching on around the country right now. And he'd done 4 or 5 considered product companies. And so conversations with him, he put me with some engineers and put me in touch with some marketing guys. And it just slowly kind of started building up. A couple of inexpensive type prototypes made out of just cheap materials and so forth. And it just slowly built up. It wasn't like all of a sudden it just,
Yeah.
and there was finally a jump point. It's like, okay, for this to go to the next level, we're going to have to get it real engineering, real design, real tools, and that was kind of the point in time to where I jumped off and didn't. That's when it just all of a sudden it was like rolling down a cliff, a very semi
W-
steep cliff to where there's no turning back. Once that
Would you
got
say
going.
those earlier days, as you were kind of in that, I'm building some prototypes, I'm talking to some people, I'm having the conversation with my buddy over at Yeti. Uh, do you feel that that these conversations continued to build on each other to where you felt you had some positive momentum, or were there
Yeah,
people in your life that were just like, man, that's a crazy idea. No, that's stupid. Don't do it.
I mean, all over. I mean, from A to Z. There was people like, "Man, that is awesome!" Like, "Yeah, table, that'd be great." And then some of my one or two of my closest buddies were like, "Dude,
What are you doing?
you've got a lot going on. You've got, this company, this, that. You fish, you hunt, you golf, you got a family. Do not do this.
Yeah, where does
Like,
this fit in?
like a out table thing. Like, what in the heck are you thinking, man? Like, no, that's stupid." Like, one of them in particular, Jake Massengill, I'll say his name, was he was like, "That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard of." And so, but there was a lot of people thought that was a good idea and so forth, but I heard everything.
So, does Jake own a table today?
Yes, he does. Jake is actually done. He is probably on our website. And those
Okay.
are some of the things in time that early on when I got one, put one in Jake's hand, I think I literally, because he wouldn't buy one for gosh sakes,
What
um,
a friend.
for lots of reasons, and we won't cover some of them because it's mean. But I think I ultimately just put one in the back of his truck, like just swung by the house, dropped one in the back of his truck, and I don't remember how he ultimately got his hands on one, but at some point in time, a few weeks, months later, he called me and he was like, "Dude, like, man, I started using that thing. I used it one time and I kind of begrudgingly used it. And
Yeah.
when I put it together, I thought, it's kind of cool, I guess." He's like, and then that afternoon, I was getting ready to cook out. I was at the ranch and I got it out again. I was like, "Oh, that kind of worked." And the next day, I was cutting some pipe. And I got it out again. The next day, I was working on it. And I stood on top of it. Like, dude, within a week, it's like I was using that thing like all the time. He's in the ranch development, sales, construction business, so he's outdoors doing a lot of stuff. And so when he was like, "Hey, buddy, I'm sorry that I did say that was a terrible idea,
And I was wrong.
and it's awesome." It's
Nice.
freaking cool. Now those are the things I'm like, you know, when I, those naysayers like that, that are like, all right, I'm on board now. That does give you positive momentum, and it helps fuel you. So yeah,
All right. So I don't want to go too far into this without kind
but
of
you can go anywhere you want to go.
without level setting, just so people who may not know what a Pecos table is and what the differences are. So I have the product. I know what the product is. The people that I've been around who have experienced it immediately go, "Oh my, this is different. This is special." But if you're talking to somebody for the first time and you say, "I make tables," and they're like, "Well, what's so special about it? Why should somebody buy a Pecos table?" This is like your 30-second infomercial here.
We've been working on, we call it the elevator pitch. We've been talking about and working on that, uh, to the level of, I don't think there must not be an easy way to say it, because we can't sell on one. And I mean, my team,
Yeah.
it's so, what is like today, June, whatever, July 1st, my elevator pitch. It is a working surface, that's a portable working surface at the right height, which most tables are like this table here is 27, 28 inches. It's the 34 to 35-inch height, which for anybody from 5'8" to 6'2" or 3, it's about the right height, give or take, working height.
Yep.
And it's solid. It'll literally hold up 3,000 pounds. And we didn't engineer it to hold up 3,000 pounds. I overdo everything, and that's not an exception. This table's not an exception. So it's over engineered, overbuilt, but it's solid. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to have the right height. It's another thing to have the right surface. But then if you're going to get on there and you're going to work and you're going to saw on something or cut meat or whatever, you can't have it flopping around, or it's not a suitable work surface. That's why a tailgate works so good. It's not going anywhere, right?
Right.
And so this is just a solid, 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 well and well engineered, designed, built working surface, elevated working surface at the right height. And then you add in the attachments and the cutting boards and all the ancillary type stuff that we've designed for it, and it becomes this workstation. Like, it is a workstation. It is a get crap done station
What are
that
the
will not fail you, will not fall. When you pull it out of wherever and you put it together, it will be there. It'll be solid, stable, and it will not disappoint you. Does that make sense? And
Yep.
so
No.
most things that you buy kind of do. Like, I don't know what your expectations are when you buy whatever it is, but sometimes you're like, man, that's pretty cool, or that's actually a good whatever. I mean, I feel like this one, when you get it, you put it together. You may not want it or need something that big and heavy, but you're not going to be like, it's chicken crap.
Yeah. The legs are made out of what metal? Aluminum?
The legs are
Steel?
aluminum. Let me turn
Okay.
my
No worries.
phone. You're seeing me mute my wife right in front of the whole world. So, um, the
The
legs
legs.
are made out of aluminum. The legs themselves, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at one of them. Legs are 1 3/4 inch aluminum legs that we powder coated, and we make them in 6, 7 different colors.
Mhm.
The uh, We've got a patent on the way they lock in. So the upper portion that actually locks into the table, the male portion of that is die cast aluminum. So it's just a big, heavy, thick, quarter
Mhm.
inch thick um, aluminum uh, part that bolts into another heavy gauge aluminum part that's inside the table.
Yep.
And ultimately it's a quarter turn. Like, if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. But instead of like one of the prototypes, it was just like had typical threads, and you twist, twist, twist,
Yep.
twist, 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 twist. And after about 3 or 4 twists, my mind was like, well, that's kind of a pain in the butt, and to twist each one up 4 or 5 times. That kind of takes portable out of portable, right?
Yeah.
Or easy out of it for sure. And
Yeah. Or just
so
adds in pain in the butt. It
the
doesn't.
idea was from a Browning X bolt or a bolt action rifle. You know how that bolt just kind of locks in. It kind of goes in and it seats. And so I'm like, well, why can't we do something like that? And so an engineer that used to work for us didn't work for us at the time. Between he and I and another one of my landscape architect guys, we just kept playing around with that till we had that locking leg. And
Hmm.
so the leg is all metal locking except for the feet, and it's this orbital foot that it gives you height adjustment ability. You
The
asked me what time it was, and I told you how to build a clock. That's kind of
No,
what
no,
you
I love that, detail. I think that is one of the things that sets it apart is that locking action of the leg. The first time I put it together, I tried to overcomplicate it. I kind of kept twisting. I just thought it wasn't right. Like I didn't know that, but then there's something also so satisfying about inserting that leg in, just turning it, hearing it lock, and you know it's not going anywhere. It's almost like you're arming the torpedoes. There's something like there's like an action there, and it's just, and then you flip that thing over, and it's not going anywhere. Like it is.
No, it's not going anywhere.
I'm a big guy, and I sit on it. I put all four of my girls on it. We have four daughters. We put all of them on just show, and I mean it's amazing. It really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, and I mean, and we get crap about it. It's like, man, why do you have to? Why do we need, or why do I need a table that's made like that?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you need one that's solid, that will not fail you, that will, you know what I mean? Like, why do you not need a solid table? And I think that there's something in the dichotomy in the human mind. They're like, it's just a table. Why do I need a good table? Why do you need a
There's
good knife?
something.
Why do you need a good truck? Why do you need a good whatever,
Right.
golf driver, putter, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but you don't need a good table. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me.
And
So
once
that's
you
something.
experience it, and I brought it to an event. I cooked smash burgers for all of our team here. There are about 35 of us, and it was there. And I had kind of told people that I just got this table and I was super excited about it. Nobody got it. Nobody understood why I was so excited about this table. And then several of them kind of saw it and saw it go together, heard the legs come out of the table or go into the table, and it's like you're taking a lightsaber out. It's just
100%.
the noise that you probably by accident maybe engineered or on purpose.
Oh
You
yeah, hundred
oh,
percent.
it's
Yeah,
brilliant.
but
I mean, it really is.
I don't do many things by accident.
I mean, I
I
didn't know
screw
if it
up a
was like
lot.
a
And I
happy
really don't have anything to hide behind because people know me well enough that it was all intentional. Yeah,
yeah,
but
it
that sound. I mean, we put gosh knows how much time and money into creating that sound, that effect. I wanted it to sound like a sword. I wanted
yeah,
to come out, and it's not as easy as you would think because you have to have this floating part, you have to have the metal, you have to have these tabs on it that aren't fully deadened into plastic. So there's two floating tabs inside of it that ultimately help it, stabilize it and hold it once you put it in. But they also act as that floating slide that makes it give it that sword sound.
yeah.
So yeah, that was fully intentional. I read something that when we did all that Yeti put $11 million that year into their acoustic research on just the sound of their products, which
Wow.
made me feel a little smarter as a product designer one time.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't. I don't think we put 11 million in it.
No.
Probably more than we should have.
Yeah, but
But
that's $100 sound.
yeah,
In the price of the table, it's a $100 sound because of the feeling you get as an end user. It is like you feel like a pretty cool guy just putting your table together.
I mean that's the thing, and I said in one of the videos, it's just hard to explain until you get one. Do you get it? You
It is.
pick it
It
up.
is.
It weighs 30 pounds for gosh sakes.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not
that's
like,
heavy.
yeah.
I mean, it's a load, and you put it together, and you're like, oh, there's something primal about it. It is.
So, you made this table, you kind of got it to market. Who who's your customer? They're not all just angry, guys getting ready for a fish fry like you. Who is your customer, and maybe what surprised you about who that end user has ended up being?
I mean, I thought it would be a bunch of me at 30, 35 years old, right? Which is really hunting, fishing, cleaning fish,
Mhm.
cleaning game,
Yep.
maybe cooking on a little bit at the ranch. It's kind of a ranch accessory or a camp accessory or RV accessory. That was where we had it. Um, which is which there are a lot of those users, but I would say what we did not see coming was the barbecue world.
Yeah.
Like the barbecue world is like they are like bring it, because there's not anything like that out there. Now it doesn't fit every single need of if you're a traveling barbecue or just a backyard pro, but it definitely covers a bunch of the bases. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so that was the one that just we didn't expect that. I would say that's 60% of the users are putting food on it. And I bet 40 or 50% are putting it by their green egg and or their smoker, their Traeger, their whatever.
Yep.
Because most of those don't come with the table, or they're not built in, or a lot of them aren't built in a bowl or per se. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. And so you need somewhere to put your food, your prep, your whatever beside it. So that's the guy in a small condominium, the 26-year-old kid guy that's cooking his little 10 by 10 backyard, all the way to the guy that's cooking at the ranch, to the Matt Pittmans and the Ben Bachers in the world that they're out there doing the high level barbecue world competition slash whatever they're doing at a high level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
makes sense.
no, it makes a ton of sense, and I think you're absolutely right. And there's something even because of that additional height in the table, the prep that when you're doing barbecue and
Oh
when you're
yeah,
out there with game, I mean, but you can be out there for 2 hours, maybe trimming if you're doing a big cook, and prep can be a long time, and those extra just few inches of the height make the big difference in the back.
that's what I mean. These guys are like, man, I might not could have continued doing this for many more years because of the back trouble I'm starting to have. But they hunched over whatever table I've been working on, and not really consciously. I don't. I think a lot of the guys just because that's the world of tables are 27, 8, 9 inch, and maybe they get them up to 30, 31, and they're kind of able to use them. But I don't know if they're consciously going, "Wow, this is my back's killing me," and it's definitely because of that table.
Right.
They're blaming it on. Well, I'm a barbecue guy, so my back hurts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
It's
it
just
is what it is.
is what
Because
it is.
nobody's ever gone there and go, "Hey, bud, if your table was 5 inches taller, your back wouldn't hurt."
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that coming. Like that just totally. That's what I'm saying. Caught us off guard. And these guys are like, "Oh my gosh, dude! I'll be out there and I'll work for 5 or 6 hours at an event or a show or a cooking thing where they're giving demonstrations, whatever." And they're like, "My back doesn't hurt." I'm like, "Well, you're welcome," but that wasn't the thought. I mean, I've been like, "Hey, I'm going to take care of these barbecue guys and fix their backs all up." But we did, but we
Yeah.
did, and so that's been cool to see.
See,
And they, I mean, my mind is like overflowing with table ideas. I mean, you give me about 10, $15 million and watch this trick, because we're going to do the trick. It's going to take a little longer, because what I've learned by being around now that we have one that people are responding to, and they're like, "Man, this is great. I wish you could have a little of this or a little of that." Or I'm just watching it, and I think we'll always have a table this size, right? But I mean, there's obviously times you need a little bigger. There's actually times you want one a little lighter and a little smaller. There's times you want one a little taller. There's times you want one a lot lower. Some people like to work at sitting down, right? There's guys who are like, "Man, I don't want to stand and peel potatoes, or, tenderize this deer meat or whatever. I want to sit by the campfire and work." So the idea of maybe having some shorter, so there's just a lot of the world is now opening up, and their minds going, "Well, maybe we do need a table." And I'm and
yeah.
I'm listening like, "Yeah, you do." So
And you're
I get
built.
I get excited about. You think I've been doing this my whole life? Like, man, somebody that didn't want to do consumer products, that guy gets awfully excited. I do get excited about it.
Timeline. Let's talk a little bit about timeline from kind of idea to first production to now. Like, what years are we talking here? Because this is a very young company, and I think if somebody were to see it online, they would just think Pecos has been making tables forever.
Yeah. 20 was the year that we started getting really serious about it. 21 is the year we ultimately raised a little money, did a friends and family round, and really started selling these. And time's such a blur. Somebody's going to get mad at me. I believe we shipped or sold our first table. Man, I want to say it was December, January, the end of 21, 22. And so 22 was kind of the first year that we started selling these tables with um, very little experience in the world of marketing and a lot of that stuff. I mean, we were paying for a bunch of marketing and so forth. We had good help, but I think it's because it's a unique product and it's different. Um, it was tough for a lot of the first marketing groups and individuals to figure out how to market this, how to
Yeah.
best market
Yeah.
it. And I think probably me more than anybody gave a lot of those guys a lot of grief over not doing a better job. But to be fair, it was something that I think most people probably would have failed at in the beginning because it's just different. Trying to like we're trying to market a table. Like how do we market a table? Man? It's like it sounds easy and it's like, well, we can just do this, and that, but it was a little more complicated than we thought. So we sold, I don't know, 1,000 of them probably in 22. In 23, we started off with pretty fairly solid sales year, and then slowed down, like kind of hit pause on some team marketing strategy. In kind of three months, we still were selling tables, but we really weren't. Zero ad spend, very little effort into it.
Hmm.
And finished the year better than 22. And this year, we're kind of rolling this year. Yeah, this year we're now starting to see every time we hit the gas and hit kind of push on this ad spend, we see it kind of flare up on us.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple of new products we're getting ready to launch here the next few weeks, months.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of effort going into that. We just so much horsepower we have, on this stuff.
Yeah.
So
For those watching, listening to this only, there was something that changed in your countenance. Like there was a little twinkle in your eye, a little like mischievous kind of grin there that happened as you said, we've got some things coming. I'm not
yeah,
looking for you
we got a couple of cool
to say
products
it.
coming that are going to do well.
They're
They're
going
going
to
to
do
do
well.
Yeah, and they're not tables. They're
Okay.
work surfaces. I'm just going to leave it at that. I mean, it'll be
Okay.
a surprise. They're work surfaces, but and I think they're going to do awesome. I know they're going to. I feel like they're going to do awesome. I'm fairly confident. I believe in Gene, so 100% say that. But they're going to give us the gunpowder to really put our head down on the next table generation of tables and really
Yeah.
hit this table. I think we're going to be a table company when the smoke clears. We're going to have work surfaces, cutting boards, things like that that will ultimately be a part of our product offering. But when the smoke clears, we're going to be an awesome outdoor table company, the outdoor
Yeah.
table company.
Absolutely.
So this is the goal. Got to have
You,
goals.
you, I think you guys have done a great job on the marketing side. Your look, your feel of the brand uh, is super attractive, and you've done a good job of kind of walking that line of, hey, I'm a barbecue guy, and yet I see this table and I'm attracted to it, or I'm an avid hunter fisherman that
Mhm.
needs this table as well. Like there's so what's the kind of the behind the scenes? Who's kind of helping you guys come up with that? Is that all in-house folks that are coming up with these? Uh,
I mean, we have used really starting in 2000, 4 or 5 awesome marketing companies, and all of which, I mean, you probably heard of a lot of them, if not all of them, that have helped us along the way.
mhm.
But I would say the difference maker really when the smoke clears, there's a Knox who was here just to help me get
Yeah,
this stuff set up. Knox Cronenberg is a good buddy of mine's son, and gosh, Knox is 24, 5 years old. he's one of those gifted, you just got to meet him kind of guys. That's just he's a photographer, gifted photographer slash artist. I mean, his pictures are art.
I've
He's
seen him
been
online.
with me.
Stunning. Yeah, he's a great.
What's that?
I've seen him online. They are absolutely.
Yeah, I think his website's www.knoxcronenberg, something like that.
Yeah.
He should give me that if he wants me to plug it. But he, the thing that I have a hard time doing is giving the marketing groups or the influencers, a green light to go just do whatever, right? The idea that there's images of or Pecos images of two yahoos standing around this table with the wrong boots, the wrong shotgun, the wrong
Yes.
apparel, the wrong look in their, that those little details would drive me crazy, right?
Yeah.
Knox has grown up here with, pretty much like I've grown up, but to a much higher level. But he's grown up here in South Texas, deer hunting, quail hunting, being around some of this, you name it, right? He's just kind of been seasoned in amongst all of this, and he gets it. So
Mm-hmm.
the content, yes, they're awesome pictures. Yes, there's cool background. Yeah, the table looks good. But you're not going to find many pictures you go through there and go, man, that's fake. Man, they're
Right.
not dove hunting, or they're not offshore fishing, or they're not bass fishing, or they're not, those guys really aren't cooking. Yeah, they are. Because
Mhm.
more times not, they actually are. It's not
Yeah.
staged. And so that's been our deal. It's like real, like real. Like this is who we are, right? We're red-blooded Americans. We believe in our country. We believe in making these products in the United States. We understand it's hard. We understand it probably costs a little more to make it here, but we want everything we do to be genuine. Who we are, our products, our images, our people, if there's somebody that works with us, and there's not many, we don't send out 200 influencers and have, Jimmy Joe in California ziplining with it or whatever,
Yeah.
right? No offense to that guy, right? But that's not us, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so right now we're pushing, promoting just who we are and what we do and what we believe in, right? And so that gets, I believe you can feel it, see it through the imagery, through what we're doing. And that's the goal anyway. If it's not, I want to know and I want to do better. But that's what we're trying to do. And that's been one of the biggest difference makers.
Yeah. I think you're
Having
right.
somebody like Knox around who's just making sure that if it posts, it's solid. It's not just like, ooh, you know.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. I mean, you said all that basically boils down to authenticity. Is it authentic to the product? Is it authentic to who you are
Yep.
as the leader of this organization? And is it
Yep.
authentic to who your customers are? And all those things I think kind of end up showing in the end result of your marketing, which is what makes it so attractive and makes me go, for the longest time I was like, I want one of those tables. I want one of those tables, but they're not cheap either. So
Well, I mean, they're not cheap to make, right?
no,
And
yes, no,
so,
for
when people tell me that something's expensive, whether it's my Pecos or even my design built stuff, like, man, y'all are expensive.
yeah,
Expensive means you're getting a less value from what you spent. So you put 100, the value's 50, or you just don't feel like, man, I don't need this thing. That's expensive, right? Um, these are expensive to make. They're expensive to engineer. They're expensive design, and they're expensive to build correctly, right?
hmm
And our margins are, I would bet our margins are less than 98% of the consumer products out there on the market today, right? So I
yeah,
take offense to the whole expensive thing, but yeah, they are. It does cost real money to make real products real good, right? If it didn't, then gosh, it'd just be a different planet. But anyway.
so let me talk about authenticity a little bit more with you.
Hmm.
On Memorial Day,
Hmm.
uh, you guys made a post on your Instagram. It was you
Hmm.
talking about this country,
Hmm.
what it means to you,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
why you make the products here in the United States. And you got emotional and I shared it to my Instagram. But talk a little
I
bit.
get, I really can't explain it, buddy. I think my mother was like this dyed in the blood, patriotic person, um, and I grew up um, in the middle of just old South Louisiana, right, and with the hardcore redneck family, and my mom and dad, and they believe red, they bled red, white, and blue, and and relatives and so forth that had fought in the different wars, throughout the ages and stuff. And so I think I've always kind of had that in me. I was in the military in college. I ultimately, long story, ended up joining the Army National Guard and went to Fort Benning Infantry Training School. In 87, 88, and got a dose of some military in there for 6 years. And then ultimately, a couple of my really, really good buddies, military and done 1, 2, 3 tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, rolled all that in there. And I, I have I, I love my country. I love what it's provided for me and my family and all of those that work with me, and I see what's being done to it and how people are treating, and where I was telling Knox this other day, it's like where this is all going and what are people doing, what they're doing today, burning a flag, right? I told Knox, like, man, wonder what would happen if somebody walked out into plain dealing Louisiana in 1932 and burned a flag right there in the middle of the city block there, small town Louisiana. I
Mhm.
think those old boys would have been able to walk out of there on their own. Probably not, man.
No.
You know what? If somebody would burn the flag out in front of my house, what would my old man done, right? Now you turn on TV and there's what they're doing, defacing these different monuments, and um, ultimately saying, doing, promoting, and pushing towards becoming a norm. It upsets me, and it's not some right wing extremist deal. It's like, man, I love my country. I appreciate my country. I appreciate what the men and women have given for our freedoms. I've seen it firsthand, and
Mhm.
in that it's heading to a place where it's becoming a norm. You can go out and do these things and deface our country and or all of what many of us have worked so hard to build. And I get emotional about it. I do,
Yeah.
man, and it upsets me, and something's got to give, man. Um, not to mention how hard it is to buy and build products and or do things here in the United States. I have a construction company, and I have a lot of labor, and I'm not going to get into what. And we try really hard to do everything correctly, right? We as far as documented and or work visas and or employees and try to
Mhm.
and insurance, and I mean we
Right.
really try. We're not always perfect, right? I mean, but more times than not, we're doing everything we can to do things the right way. And next thing you know, there's X million individuals that are here, and it changes the whole face of my business. The everything we've worked for. I mean, this company is 25 years old, 6 years old, and it's tough
Yeah.
with the labor situation. It's tough with the insurance situation. It's tough with the cost of diesel. It's tough. It's like in the spillover effect of all of these things and how it affects real red-blooded Americans. Man, it's not cool, right? And that's not me watching the news. That's me watching it, feeling it, seeing it firsthand right here in front of me. How it affects my friends, my employees, my peers, my everybody, my family. And so why do I get emotional? There you go. I don't know.
Yeah.
That doesn't sum it up. That's about as good as I can give you.
And for you,
Yeah,
there's no choice. You are going to make your products here in the United States.
man, we're going to give it freaking hell, right? At the end of the day, you can't buy a screw in the United States without custom ordering and having some machine shop pretty much make the screws. You know what I mean? some of them, but a lot of them you can't. And so
Yeah.
there's a few details that we may never be able to buy in the United States, but 98.8%, yeah, the in the United States, the big plastic body, the legs, all the painting, all all the tooled parts, uh, most of them Ohio, Wisconsin, some in Carolina, but yeah, 98% United States. So,
I saw
yes,
something
sir.
you wrote. It was like a guest post, I guess, on Fox Business. They had you kind of just talking about doing business here in the United States, and you kind of talked about three things. You talked about know your customer. I think we've established that you guys know your customer, even though you were a bit surprised maybe by who some of those customers were. You weren't expecting the
Yeah,
barbecue folks like me
that's right.
to be part of that. But I love what you talked about knowing your guys. So talk a little bit about what it means to you to know your guys and how do you do that both locally and then because this company has kind of pieces and parts kind of being produced in other places.
You're
How
talking about guys as far as you're talking about like influencer, ambassador types, those
no,
guys.
know your guys that are making your product that are team members
Oh,
for you.
I mean, we're using Headstrom Plastics, and they're going to kill me, but I believe they're groups out of somewhere in Ohio.
Mhm.
Chicago White Metal is doing most of our die-cast parts, if not all of our die-cast parts. I mean, and these are all American companies, American employees, 1,000% that are based in Middletown, America. They're out there busting their ass, trying to do this, and competing against a lot of outside powers, a lot of outside forces that are doing most of this. This type of work is not done in the United States, and there's a few groups that are here towing the load, right, that are trying to get this done. And so it feels good to support those guys. I mean, and I'm not doing it just to support those guys,
Sure.
but I'm thank God there's a few of them still left here in the United States that can help us, or we wouldn't be able to do it, you know. And so it does feel good to hopefully, and I tell them they're helping me more than I'm helping them right now because we're not selling millions and millions and millions of these and making those guys a bunch of money. But my goal is to make those guys a bunch of money,
Yeah.
right? They're making a bunch of money, and we may actually make some money. You know what I
There
mean?
you
So
go. So
yeah.
these parts and these different partners you've got from across the country, they all end up kind of at your location there in Texas, and that's where
The
you guys
parts, yeah,
assemble,
they make
right?
these parts. They ship to my office here right up the road, and we actually put them all together in my shop.
Okay.
We put the entire table, the legs, the pieces. We get them powder coated out in Liberty Hill, all of it, every single part screwed in. They're building them right here in my shop. We're putting them all together, assembled, shipping them straight out of our shop here outside of Dripping Springs. Yeah,
Well, I think what you're doing is amazing. You know, the fact that you are committed to building these in America is something that I support. I've said it before on this podcast as this topic has kind of come up, but you know, my great grandfather was an original sit downer up in Michigan, who at that point, you know, was fighting for their safety and those things. And so I grew up in a household that was Buy American. And so even to this day, I try to do that whenever I can. And in the barbecue world, there's kind of very few kind of options, you know, in that world. Everything's kind of moved overseas, but there's folks like you. And I kind of made a list this afternoon as I was thinking about this. You know, we've got obviously the Pecos people. We have there's a company up in Traverse City, Michigan, making tent craft from everything, from the awnings to the poles, everything. They're making it
what do
primo
they
scrap
call it? Tent craft?
tent
Tin
craft.
craft? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it's
TUFP.
hard finding out where these companies are. There's a small website that kind of helps you with that,
Yeah.
but it's still hard to figure out who
Yeah.
these American companies are.
And they're veteran owned up there in Traverse City, Michigan. And they're, I tell you, I have a tent from them, and it is absolutely, it's like it's the equivalent of like a Pecos table. It's just like you
Yeah.
experience it and you go, I'm not going to buy this at a big
Nice.
box store. It's
Nice.
amazing.
I'll look those guys up. I mean, I love supporting guys like that. And then
Yeah,
you had a knife guy, Josh.
Josh, Josh Smith
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Montana Knife Company.
yeah. They're making those United States too. Yeah.
Yep, right there in Montana, and his
I
back.
listened to your podcast on that yesterday. Sound like a good guy.
Um,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Primo ceramic grills. They're entirely made in the United States. They're the only ceramic grill. The rest, the red and the green, are made in Mexico or in China. Um, Orca coolers. They do a lot of their roto molded coolers here in the United States. I don't know if Yeti does anything still in the United States or not.
I think Yeti's doing maybe some here. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Who knows? They're making so many.
But there's a company, Fireboard, does electronics, does thermometers and temperature control units for grills, and they're in Kansas City doing that. I mean, there's Royal Oak Charcoal is all made in America. Brio outdoor fire pits, they're in Pennsylvania, made up there. Montana Knife Company, Field Cast Iron. Like, there's amazing companies, and you guys are out there doing it. Matchless Cabinets, folks that are just doing incredible work.
There's definitely some, but
Way.
it's not a huge list. I
No,
mean, it's compared to all the companies, you say, okay, let's just find the ones in the United States. I mean, it's probably what, less than 2 or 3%
yeah,
of the
and you guys
products.
you guys are making a choice to make less money to do it here
100%, 100%. Yeah.
and to do it because you
Yeah.
believe that American workers should be employed, that they should make a fair wage.
I believe it's better here. I mean, I'm not the guy that's going to go make this in America, and you can go make it wherever else. And theoretically, you could maybe make it better somewhere else. To
Maybe.
tell you, yeah, that one's a little better, but you need to buy mine because it's made in America. That's not going to fly. That
Yeah.
won't fly. It has to be better. It has to be better and made in America for it to have a chance, right?
Hmm.
But I do believe I believe for us, and I believe for a lot of companies, quality, quality, it's better here in the United States where you can call, go meet with the people, look at what they're making. If it's not right, and you can drive up to their shop and be like, hey bud, this isn't right,
Yeah,
right?
this is
If
not
it's
fitting.
over in blah blah blah, like that just sounds like a nightmare, and I don't really want to go there, right? And
Yeah.
so I just feel like I can get things made better. I mean, I tell people if I could walk out the front door and move a brick and send that $20 million invoice, that'd be great. But the closer it is to where we can have our hands on it, we can have real conversations in the same language, feels like that to me would be a better way to get things done. And it is a better way to get things done. I'm not saying you can't make it better in other parts of the world, but I'm saying for us, making it here, been have these real conversations with all of these manufacturers and so forth. I feel like we make a better product here. I think a lot of people can make a better product here if they put their head down and give it a real effort because there's not many doing that, you know.
I agree.
And I understand why. I trust me, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard.
All
But
right. So you're made in America. You mentioned uh, earlier, when this idea was kind of born, you were getting ready to go out and do something for Young Life, which is a
mhm,
which is a ministry.
mhm,
Uh,
yep, mhm,
where does, for you, if I can get personal,
sure.
where does faith and business intersect for you? Like, what does that look like on a day to day basis?
What does it look like, or what do I get up on my hands and knees and pray for? Those are two different.
Absolutely,
Those are
both
sometimes two different things.
absolutely there.
So, I mean, faith. My relationship with Jesus Christ is number one, right? And does that mean my actions reflect in how I do and how I speak and so forth? Always perfect or very often perfect? No, there's only one perfect human being, and he's not around in flesh anymore. And so how does that work with business and everything? It's hard, man. I mean, it's hard being a boss and having individuals that ultimately that whether it's disciplinary or having to let people go and dealing with altercations and situations and a lot of the youth of this world that have probably brought up different than me and work a little different than my mind thinks we should be working. And so, but it's part of everything, you know. I mean, it's not church and state or church and business or God. Like it's everything's through Him, everything, right? I mean, it's God first, and then in family, business, and everything else. Does do my actions reflect that as often as they should? No, sir, they don't.
Hmm.
And it's it. until he comes back, that's just the way it's going to be. And I wish somebody could drop down and make things easier, make me a little better man, just by nature. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Well,
So,
when he
so
gets here, he's gonna have,
that's where it is with me. I mean, it's part of everything.
yeah. When he gets here, he's going to have a great table to stand on. I tell you that.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You know, we thought about it at one point, call it the altar. And they're like, man, it's going a little bit, it's going a little far there. But,
That's a little too much. That was a
yeah,
good
it's like, all right, maybe it's
move
not an
not
altar.
too much.
Yeah,
We don't want to
maybe
worship.
barbecue on an altar. Yeah.
Yeah, might come in
But
and
anyway,
table
you
over.
went there, so yeah, it's it's really important. Obviously, you know, I don't know how people can get through this earth, this life, this journey um, without having without having him in their life, man. I mean, life's tough. You know, marriage is tough, life's tough. You know, and so it's going to be tough with or without him. But boy, I sure am glad he's on my team. It
Absolutely.
gives me comfort. Yeah.
Well, I think that's
I'm on his team. I think he just got offended that I said
yeah,
he's on my team. I'm glad I'm on his team, right?
I think he
Anyway,
understands. He understands.
I mean, by gosh, if he understands me, then that says something. But I actually think he does. I understand my.
Well, I
That's
think
good.
that's a great thought to wrap us up. I appreciate you taking the time. I cannot wait to see what these next products are. We'll of course be watching and sharing those as those come out. And appreciate your time today, and wish
Oh,
you
thank you, man. It's good to talk to you. Good meeting you. I enjoyed it. You need a table, you need something, you know who to call. Give me a
absolutely.
shout.
Well,
Yes,
we wish
sir.
you the best, and
Thank you, bud.
may the smoke be with you.
Thank you, man. Take care. Bye bye.